Hello, Michael over here. So I wanted to make a quick video mostly about the response essays. So having read and graded them now, the first one, the second one, I noticed some patterns that some of you all were, or some things that you all were having trouble with, or a lot of you were having trouble with. So today my goal is, or at least with this quick video, and I'll set my timer here so I don't go over, is to focus on the things which were costing you all some silly points on those. So the first one is pretty simple, and a lot of these are pretty simple. Um, you should always italicize the title of a book. So The Handmaid's Tale is the title of the book, so that should be in italics. And it's the same in your works cited below. In MLA, they make it nice and easy. And the kind of the good rule of thumb is if it's a longer piece of work, put it in italics. If it's a shorter piece of work, put it in quotation marks. So a movie or a novel or a play, italics. If it's a short story or an essay or a speech or something like that, quotation marks. And again, that would be the same both when you're referring to it in the body of your essay and all the way down at the bottom in your works cited. Second one is, and it's kind of a weird, quirky thing, but whenever we talk about a novel or a play or a movie, we talk about it in the present tense. So Offred says that instead of Offred said that. Now I know that's a little bit weird, and the reason behind it is to think that the book or the movie or the whatever is happening in the present tense. It's always sort of in the state of being, right? So that's an easy fix too, but I wanted to catch some of you before you started getting too far into your literary analysis. The next one, the third one, and it's a pet peeve of mine that I really ask you to avoid, so it's in my kind of basic rules, is don't start your conclusion in conclusion. Um, it should be pretty obvious as I'm nearing, or any reader is nearing the end of your work, that you're working towards a conclusion. It's also going to be your final paragraph, which is also a nice, clear indicator. The reason it's a pet peeve of mine is one, because I see it so frequently, but also because I don't think it necessarily adds anything to your conclusion. The next one, number 4, make sure that you capitalize proper nouns. This happens, I think, especially with this book when we talk about the commander. So the commander, that's the only name that we ever get for him. So that becomes a proper noun, so it needs to be commander with a capital C. Um, Make sure, number 5, that you have a works cited at the end. So you've been citing throughout your book or throughout your essay or response essay or literary analysis essay this book, The Handmaid's Tale, which means if you've used page numbers from this, that at the end you need to have the correct information. In particular, you need to have the author's name, last name, first name. So Atwood, Margaret, and then the title of the book, The Handmaid's Tale, which, same here, would also be in italics. The publisher, whoever published your version, I have Anchor Books as my publisher, for not my publisher, I wish I did, but for the publisher of my version of the book. And then the year it was published, okay? And that needs to be at the end as a works cited. So some of you all lost points for that. And then the last one, number 6, is actually one of the most important, because other stuff's kind of like nitty gritty, kind of detail stuff. But in terms of understanding the essay as a reader, remember that a reader needs context. And I know that it's tricky in this case because I am your direct reader, and you know that. You're writing these essays for me because I have assigned them. But I really want you to focus on, when you get to your intro paragraph, making sure that you're giving context of the book, The Handmaid's Tale. Now, why do this? Why would I ask you to do this if I'm the one reading it? Well, I've read the book, you've read the book, we know what's happening, but what we're practicing here is creating an essay which has the correct context for any reader that might pick up this essay and read it? Well, it's not necessarily going to be read by a bunch of different people, right? Unless you choose to share it with people. You're practicing a skill, which is to set up the essay. I hope that makes a little bit more sense out of it. Now, in terms of all these 6 sort of common errors and what I was noticing, I wanted to make sure that you all knew how to see my comments, because when I grade, I typically leave comments in 3 places, right? And I believe I've mentioned this before, but I may not have shown you how to get to it, or you may not be aware of how to get to it. So when I grade an assignment in Canvas, there are 3 places that I leave comments. One is on the text itself. So I can highlight a line and make a little comment off to the side, much like you maybe have seen or used in Microsoft Word's track changes or leave comment. I also make comments off to the side under the rubric, so you can see exactly where you lost points, and hopefully I've left a little note there as to why, unless you only lost like a little fraction of a point. And then I also try and leave comments at the end under additional notes. I want you to make sure that you can see all of those and that you know how to find them, because that will help you avoid challenges or problems in future essays, right? So, the quick explanation on how to find it. So when you go into assignments, click on the whatever paper it is. So the example here is research paper, right? So click on the title, and once you click on the title, you should get a little box where it says submission details, and it's got whatever title, whatever document you uploaded, and you should be able to click on what's circled in red there, the view feedback, right? So once you view that, you'll get basically my notes, right? So you'll be able to see those annotated comments, right, where I mentioned things. Now the example that they have here, what you see is these little pins, the little blue pins. I don't use those because it can be unclear, so I use the highlights. So wherever you see something highlighted is where I've made a comment. Now you can also download the file. So in the upper left-hand corner of the screen, there's this little arrow. If you click on that, you can download the assignment, and you can also view the comments. For highlighted comments, you will have to roll your mouse or your cursor over that highlight and let it hover there for a second, and then it should open my comments. If you're having any additional challenges or difficulties viewing those comments, I'm going to include the link after the link to this video so that you can go and check that out. If after this video and viewing that page on how to view annotations in Canvas, you're still having trouble, check with me, and I will see if I can guide you towards it. All right. So I will put up another video lecture in the near future, but I wanted to address those things right while I was thinking about them as you all are getting into your literary analysis. So the literary analysis is going to be worth more points, so I want to make sure that you aren't losing points on these little silly things like italicizing the title of the book, speaking of the book in present tense, not starting the conclusion in conclusion, capitalizing your proper nouns such as the commander, including your works cited at the end of the essay, and making sure that your intro paragraph includes context and background. And I will say that in terms of number 5, the works cited, also make sure that you've got the correct in-text citation. So the correct in-text citation for MLA is that you have your quote, and then the end quotation mark, the parentheses with the page number, and then the closing parentheses, and then the final punctuation is outside. All right, email me with questions. Good luck, and I'll talk to you soon.